So it doesn't give us that much of a hurdle to jump over, but it's probably going to be the game of the year for a while. Incredible last night. Miami goes on to play for the championship. You see the squad we got together here, Josh and Jordan. Be with those guys in a second, and we have more to come. But, Louis, I wanted to get a quick take from you. We know that tonight, Fernando Mendoza, Dante Moore, all eyes will be on those quarterbacks. How about the two that we saw last night? From a draft perspective, Trinidad Chambliss and Carson Beck. Tell everyone what you said to us right before we came on the air. If Trinidad Chambliss was 6'3", what would we be saying about him?
He's a surefire first rounder. He may have been. Look, if he was 6'3" and he had been starting all season long, Trinidad Chambliss would probably be in contention would have been in contention for the Heisman and be in contention for the #1 overall pick. He has everything that you want, especially when you're talking about from the neck up and the way in which they talk about him down there in Oxford. He's got tremendous mental horsepower. He's got tremendous resilience. He's been through the fire. He can handle large volumes of information. He's got great mobility, good arm strength. He can read defense pre-snap. He can adjust post-snap. He can extend plays. There's everything that he can do. And he's a great leader and a great person, never been in trouble. All those things, all the boxes that you want checked from a franchise quarterback, he checks every one of those boxes. There's just one, and that is he's probably going to measure in officially at just under 6 foot, and that's going to be a problem as far as putting him up that high and taking him that high. But there's nothing else. There's nothing else that Trinidad cannot do. When you're talking about Carson Beck, look, I think he started off the season as someone who everyone thought maybe would be in contention for the #1 overall pick or the first quarterback to come off the board. Then he hits a rough stretch, which really kind of like crescendos down there at SMU where he throws those interceptions. But as he told me, look, I still feel as though I played one of my best games of the year. And then ever since that game, with the next game that next week that we called down there in Coral Gables against Syracuse, he's been on a heater ever since then. He has been lights out. They love him down there in Miami. They feel as though all the things that he has been through really is going to serve him well when it comes to the NFL level. I think he is a guy who could still sneak into the bottom of the first round. No question about that.
Okay, fascinating. We'll get Jordan's take on that as we continue this morning. Meanwhile, Pate, I want to show you something. Can we put up C5, please? Because with Ole Miss going out, this will be the third straight season in which the national championship game will be played without a representative from the Southeastern Conference. It is the longest streak for that conference since a run of 4 straight from 1999 through 2002. The Big Ten has taken advantage. They've won 2 straight titles. They're going to get one of the other. Either Indiana or Oregon is going to play for it a week from Monday. So they could be in a place where the Big Ten wins 3 consecutive national championships with 3 different teams. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But Josh, and the SEC has sort of run the sport for quite some time. What do we say about it all this morning?
Well, the tops of the tallest trees being shaved in college football, meaning the talent being a little more spread out, probably stood to impact the SEC more than any other conference, Greeny. Now, I'm making really 50,000-foot points because the fact of the matter is the quote-unquote issues, if you want to call them that, at Texas are different than that of Georgia, are different than that of Alabama. But I will say very, very holistically, I told you this last week, I'm going to continue to tell you this. For a 10, 15, 20-year stretch, when you came to understand you had such a cumulative talent edge over whatever the next most powerful conference in college football was, I just think in football, in life, when you know you have that big a built-in edge over the competition, sometimes human nature can be that you get lazy. And it may be that you get lazy in hiring practices, not overly lazy, but just the margins. You don't care about them as much because you know you're going to roll out of bed and have that advantage the next morning. And that advantage disappeared, not over time, but kind of over the span of 12, 24, 36 months. And I think a lot of places in the SEC are still adjusting to it. Look, it's not a terrible conference. It's just their fastball's 91 instead of 97 right now. And that makes all the difference in the world.
What do you think, Jordan?
Yeah, SEC has had a talent monopoly for a long time. And I think what you're seeing change is not just the distribution of the top-level talent. Of course, quarterbacks, 5-star quarterbacks and top receivers are going to other programs in the SEC. But the SEC always had the best rosters from really 20 to 40. Not just that's the starting 22, but the depth was always 5 and 4 stars that were under-recruited, that were being developed. That's what you saw. Maybe the biggest discrepancy last night was Ole Miss didn't have any depth. Their starting 4 across the defensive front are really good. They had nobody behind them, and they really had nobody behind them all year, and I think that's what you're starting to see with the SEC, with NIL. Those guys aren't sitting on a bench as 4 stars and 5 stars and developing anymore. They're going to other schools, And so I agree. Look, I'm a guy that is mostly on SEC Network when I talk college football. The Big Ten's a better conference right now. They are. They've proven it in the bowl season. They've proven it in playoffs. The SEC had a great run. 16 of 17 times they competed for national championships. Now they'll be out of it the last 3. The Big Ten is taking that crown, and it's not just in playoffs. It's the bowl games. It's the distribution of talent. The SEC no longer has that monopoly on the rosters, on the talent like we've seen for so long.
The reality is, when Josh says that this has all changed in the last 12 to 24 to 36 months, everything has changed. Literally everything. College football has gone through the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution took a century. They've done it in like a year and a half, right? Literally everything in the sport is entirely different. We were talking about a sport where you couldn't buy a kid a turkey sandwich lest he would lose his eligibility, to a sport now where a guy gets paid $4 million and wants to leave 5 days later. I know they reversed that, but everything has changed. So the idea that this isn't going to create an entirely different power structure within the sport is just ludicrous. So I don't know where it will all settle, because I don't know when they will arrive at whatever the equilibrium is that they find at the end of this thing, because right now it's just madness. But that, to me, is the simplest explanation. There's almost sort of a randomness to where it's going to fall. You hire the right coach, you get a couple of breaks, John Harbaugh, Ryan Day, now maybe Kurt Signetti, and all of a sudden the Big Ten looks like the big dogs on the block.
Yeah, look, money talks. It's as simple as that. When you talk about how everything has changed, all you have to do is really go to the football facility of one of these Power 4 conference football teams, the upper echelon teams, and just look at the player parking lot as far as where their cars are parked.
That's right.
You would think that you are pulling up to the San Francisco 49ers parking lot, not the University, not Georgia's parking lot or Tennessee's parking lot or Ole Miss's parking lot, because there are Bentleys, Corvettes, Lamborghinis. I'm sitting there going, wait a second. I was driving my sister's Mustang GT, and I thought I was the man back in 1987, let alone a brand-new Corvette, brand-new Porsche. It has changed. You're right. It has changed everything. And, Jordan, look, I think you make a great point. You cannot stockpile 4 and 5 stars anymore, because guys are going, hey, look, if I can't play here, I'm going somewhere else. I'm just going to move. I don't care how much, what it's been like in the past. I don't care how many people you put in the league in the past. I want to play. You just saw this happen out at USC, where they have a former 5-star quarterback who's hitting the portal right now because he's going, look, I want to play. I don't want to sit behind Malava. I don't care what Lincoln Riley has done with quarterbacks in the past. I want to play. And that has changed everything for every football team. Any given year, you can go from worst to first, and it's being proven right now.
The absolute best example of this is Texas Tech. They went from completely irrelevant to first-round bye. Now, I know they end up losing that game, but that's what the NIL does. Just like that. You can completely flip the roster. You can completely flip the culture. You can completely flip your standing in college football. SEC used to be able to rely on, hey, we can get you to the NFL. We can get you to the first round. That doesn't matter to them anymore. They want to get paid, and then they're going to figure it out from there.
Yeah, basically, you just need a billionaire who's really into it. Right? You need Ellison. You need Mark Cuban. You need whoever it is that I've forgotten the name of the guy at Texas Tech who just put all that money into it and said, here, go buy a football team, and they've done it. That can't last. Like, that just can't be what the sport is forever. So someone's got to figure out something so that there are some rules in this thing. But for the moment, that's where they are. They are a lawless society, and each way it'll come out on top. Josh Pate, jump back in.
Also, to go back to what Jordan just talked about, the concept of the SEC having the best frontline guys, but also 21 through 40, the depth being there. You go to a Georgia practice, an Alabama practice 5 years ago, and you half the time when you say, who is that guy? Their answer is, well, we're redshirting him this year. He'll start next year. He'll start 2 years from now. It just fascinates me that we've shaved the depth, not just off of SEC rosters now. It's impacted them disproportionately, but not just SEC rosters, but a lot of the rosters out there, right as we're asking someone to potentially play 17 games to win a national championship. And every time I'm watching a game like Miami last night, you got guys falling all over the place. I'm thinking about the randomness you just talked about, Greeny, as being injected into the sport. The randomness is never more apparent than when you see a frontline guy go down that you may have spent $1.2 million on, and you find out there was no depth there. And his backup, the fall off from that starter to that backup, I know that the NFL's dealt with this forever. These big programs, that is not a concept that they've been used to dealing with in this harsh an environment forever, since they've existed.
Not only that, but anytime you inject a playoff into a sport that adds more teams and adds more winner-take-all games, you're going to have some degree of randomness seep in. It used to be they would just pick the 2 best teams, so one of them had to win. Then it would be the 4 best teams, so one of them had to win. Now we've got the 12, theoretically, best teams. So that's going to inject a different sort of feel into all of it. Let me get one quick pick on tonight here from Fortenbaugh. We got Oregon and Indiana. The Big Ten will send 1 representative to the college football playoff championship game. The Hoosiers are a 3.5-point favorite. What are you thinking?
You want to go with tonight's game?
You tell me.
You want to go tonight's game? All right, tonight's game, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take Oregon plus the points in the matchup. Couple things to consider. Number one, I think the key to the game is going to be the Oregon defense in this matchup. Late in the season, they moved away from a cover 3 scheme. They played a lot of that heavy. Now, you saw in the JMU game, they struggled there defensively. Texas Tech game is where it all changed. 0 points allowed, 215 total yards allowed. That's a good Texas Tech team. I think with Indiana, the narrative shifted on them. Going into the Alabama game, it was, they're good, but I kind of need them to prove it. After they smoked Alabama, everyone jumped on the wagon. Makes them a little overvalued, in my opinion. I would take the points with the Ducks.
Lewis taking Oregon straight up. We will see what happens again. The game is tonight on ESPN and ESPN Deportes and the ESPN app. Oregon, Indiana in the Peach